Ladies and gentlemen, you know how they've been telling us it's going to be a really rough winter? Well, there's a reason for that. The Earth is going through something called a triple dip La Nina. And we have gone through El Ninos and La Ninas. And, for the most part, it's just cooler some years, warmer the other years. But this is the first time in this century that we are going through something called a triple dip La Nina. That's how they know it is a bad winter ahead. So, what does this mean? It means that in the southern hemisphere of the stratosphere, they are already detecting it cooling down rapidly and getting colder in the North Pole. So there's all kinds of indicators that are telling them why. And we're actually seeing a lot of it now from the floods and the heat waves, or the natural disasters, the drought. The natural disasters that we are looking at are off the charts. And if you remember, even tornado season was far worse this year than it was the year before. So everything is ramping up, and it's going to continue to ramp up for at least the next 6 months. That's what they're saying. So a strong cold anomalies are being detected in the stratosphere over the Western Hemisphere. And that means everything is cooling rapidly, including the water vapors that are rising up in the atmosphere, the cooling on the scale that has not been seen in modern satellite records. So that's what's happening now. So they're not telling you this for no reason. I knew something was up when Joe Biden said it. Some of y'all may remember Joe Biden said this probably back in June, that it was a rough winter ahead. So it is so much of a big deal that countries all over the world are warning their citizens because this triple dip La Nina is global. So, I mean, look at the flooding going on in Pakistan now. And it is just look at the flooding going on here. Look at what's going on down in Mississippi. I mean, I think we're getting a precursor of what the winter will be like. So they said they took a look at what's happening with temperatures in the southern stratosphere and how it actually happened. So it might have an impact heavily on this side of the planet this coming winter 2022-2023. So, from what they are looking at, they're saying it's definitely going to be a ramp up in the weather and natural disasters. So, from the ground to the stratosphere, all clouds and our weather are found in the lowest layer of the atmosphere. So they said it reaches about 5 miles altitude over the polar regions and up and around 9 to 10 miles over the tropics. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are up here in the Northeast with me, just expect we may be getting more polar vortexes this year, and they will be longer lasting. Y'all know when the temperature goes down real low and it's just cold and cold continuously. Yes. So above it, there is a much deeper layer called the stratosphere. The layer is around 30 kilometers thick, and they said it's very dry. So this is where the ozone layer is found. So you can see the layers of the atmosphere, and it just shows the stratosphere with the ozone layer above it. So, ladies and gentlemen, any way you can plan ahead, you should. We don't know how much inclement weather you're going to have and how long it's going to last. But from what they're saying, it is going to be a difficult one. So these layers are important because while our weather is in its lowest part of the atmosphere, it can be heavily modified by the impacts from above, especially the stratosphere is known for its effects and changes regarding a polar vortex. Every year, as we head into autumn, the North Pole starts to cool down. Now, it is cooling down according to what they're saying, and but it's cooling down a lot more rapidly than normal. But the atmosphere further south is still relatively warm as as it continues to receive energy from the sun, while the polar regions receive less over time. So you can see the winter solstice below, and the polar regions receive little to no solar energy. So, as the temperature drops over the polar region, so does the pressure. The stratosphere, the process is the same. So, the temperature drops over the pole, and the temperature difference towards the south increases. A large low pressure circulation start to develop across the polar stratosphere. Mhm. So, and that is a typical example of a polar vortex in the middle of the stratosphere during the winter. All right. And I remember some years, in fact, it must have been either 2019 or 2020. It seemed like once we got past the polar vortex, sometimes just days later, another one came. It was just crazy. So it's basically a very large cyclone covering the whole North Pole down to the mid latitudes. So it's strongly present at all levels from the ground up, but in different shapes. All right. So it is definitely going to be very telling. I was also reading a few days ago, they're anticipating power outages for some people, and that can be hard, especially if it is extremely cold out or bad conditions and you lose your power. That can be bad. But at least now you kind of have some time to prepare. So think about how are you going to keep yourself warm in case there is a power outage during a bad winter day. So if you have gas heat, you're going to be fine, but those of you that rely on power to get your heat, I mean, some people got, wood burning stoves. I don't know if many people use kerosene heaters anymore, but you have those, but you have to think about how you are going to keep yourself warm in the event of a power outage because we saw what happened in Texas. But a lot of that in Texas was really on those politicians there. They actually made that situation worse by shutting off the power. That I don't know whose bird brain idea that was, but it's just another example of poor leadership. And I also remember, wasn't it the mayor that was telling people off, talking about they weren't owed anything? Oh my goodness. I was like, what kind of politicians y'all got down there? So anyway, the stratospheric polar vortex during the winter, as it plays a very important role in the weather development throughout the season. It is known for its strong influence down from the stratosphere. But while we are more concerned with the stratosphere and the polar vortex of the northern hemisphere, major cooling event is now unfolding over the southern hemisphere. Okay. All right. Water in the atmosphere. We began with the polar vortex and the stratosphere because that is where the main part of this article, that's where it goes. So strong volcanic eruptions can send different gases and materials directly into the stratosphere, depending on the type of particles and the amount that can result in different regional and global atmospheric effects. All right, y'all. So really, the bottom line is, y'all, they can see this coming. Now I can see and understand why they can see this coming, and probably could see it coming even back in late spring, So now it is very obvious because they've been watching the stratosphere every single day, and they are noticing the temperature drops in the stratosphere. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me see. I think I might have. Hold on one sec.
UN Weather Agency forecast triple dip La Nina. Rare La Nina climate pattern is the first this century. The World Meteorological Organization forecasts that it is likely the protracted La Nina event will last until at least the end of the year, becoming the century's first triple dip La Nina. The triple dip spans 3 consecutive northern hemisphere winters, according to the update. The organization predicts that there is a 70% chance in September and November that the current La Nina will continue, with that percentage gradually decreasing to 55% from December to February 2023. The climate pattern started in September 2020. La Nina conditions in the tropical Pacific have strengthened from mid-July to mid-August. Those conditions have affected temperature and precipitation patterns and exacerbated drought and flooding. La Nina events push warm water toward Asia, while upwelling increases off the western coast of the Americas, bringing cold and nutrient-rich water to the surface. The Pacific Ocean's cold water thrusts the jet stream northward, tending to lead to drought in the southern U.S. and heavy rains and flooding in the Pacific Northwest. Winter temperatures are warmer than normal in the south and cooler than normal in the north. It usually has the opposite effects on weather and climate as El Nino. However, the organization notes that all naturally occurring climate events now take place in the context of human-induced climate change. It is exceptional to have 3 consecutive.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, they are also saying this is a very rare occurrence. That's why it's the first one of the century. So, ladies and gentlemen, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.